All right, so what we are going to be talking about today are some of the things that you can do in UAccess to be a more successful student, to be a more proactive student. How many of you have been into UAccess at all since the semester started? Okay, the majority of you. Good. So we at least know how to get there. uaccess.arizona.edu. And what is UAccess? It's the student portal. So it's the portal through which you can register for classes, change and update your address or any personal information. It's where you can view your advisor. It's where you'll view when you are allowed to register for classes. Pretty much anything related to your personal information or your classes can be found in UAccess. So what I want to do today is introduce you to some of the tools available for you within UAccess. They're hopefully things that you'll be able to use because registration is coming up and you're probably thinking about class schedule, what you'll take in the spring, long-term planning, and I want to show you how UAccess can help you kind of navigate those things with the assistance of your advisor. So I'm going to be switching back and forth from my personal student center screen to my administrative view. In my administrative view, I can only show you certain things, and my administrative view just looks a little bit different from what you see in your student center. So I'll be going back and forth to show you what it will look like in your account specifically. That being said, is there anybody who will volunteer to let me look them up and use them as an example? Anybody? Are you okay doing it? Okay. So people will see your name and the classes that you're in. That's pretty much it. Good? Okay. All right, so we'll look up Amy. E-U-L, right? Okay. So the first thing that I want to show you is a document called your Academic Advisement Report. Have any of you looked at this yet? Your advisor may have required that you print it out for your appointment. A couple of you, okay. So your Academic Advisement Report is the official document that the university uses to track your degree progress. So, you know, your advisor probably gave you a nifty check sheet on one sheet of paper that has the classes that you need. That's totally unofficial. It's just for your reference so you can see quick and easy on one page the classes that you need. Your advisement report is actually the document that the university will look at when you're ready to graduate, and that's the document that they'll use to verify that you have met all of your graduation requirements. So using the check sheet is okay, but in reality you should be looking at your advisement report to tell specifically what you've done and what you still need to do. And if you see a discrepancy on your advisement report, you should get in touch with your major advisor to address that discrepancy. So maybe they need to make a substitution, or maybe they need to honor a waiver that they told you they would let you have. In any case, you want to be looking at your advisement report on a regular basis to make sure it's correct and to make sure that you know exactly what you need to do to satisfy the requirements for graduation. Make sense with me so far? Yes. Okay. So I'm in my student account right now because when you want to get to your advisement report, it looks a little different than how I get to it in the administrative view. So in your student center, under the academics heading, you have a bunch of hyperlinks. And to get to your advisement report, what you want to do is click My Academics. And when you click My Academics, a bunch of options come up. So the first option is Advisement Report, and then next to it there's a hyperlink that says View My Advisement Report. This is where you will go to view the report for your specific major as it is declared right now. Below that you can see there's the option for a What If report. So if you were considering changing your major, adding a minor, adding a second major, anything like that, you can actually generate a what if report that says, what if I did this? How would my advisement report look? So you can run what if reports on your own to see what it would look like if you made any of those changes, how the classes you've completed or are in progress in would apply to a new or different program. So what you will want to do is click View My Advisement Report. And I'm going to go back to Amy's, and I'm going to pull it up the way that I do through my administrative view. And we get the lovely spinning wheel of death. Usually takes a few seconds to generate. And that's because there's a lot of information on the advisement report. So when it first pulls up, it's going to pull up directly in your browser. Now this browser version can be a little bit of a challenge to comprehend the first few times you look at it. Even I sometimes get confused looking at this in-browser version because there's a lot of verbiage. So you can see there's a ton of words. So it's pretty much all of the policies that you have to meet in order to graduate. So there's a lot of words that you have to go through. In general, though, when you're viewing your advisement report, what you want to do is make sure you're looking for the red. So the red on the advisement report, so like you can see here, the red will be anything that is not satisfied, so anything that you still need to complete in order to earn your degree. So for instance, up here, the first thing it tracks are your general undergraduate requirements. So it lets you know you have to have a minimum of 42 upper division units. And right now, Amy, you don't have any, which makes sense because you're a freshman. You probably won't start taking those till you're a junior. But it will actually keep track of those units for you. If she was enrolled in 3 units of upper division, it would say 42 required, 3 taken, 39 needed. So the advisement report will keep track of those requirements for you. So first thing is to look for the red. As you scroll down, you'll begin to get into the actual course requirements for your major. So the first section is always going to be the foundational math requirement, the math that's required for your degree. And you can see when a course is listed as not satisfied, it lets you know what's needed. So it says complete 1 course from the following. And it actually lists out all of the course options that you could take in order to fulfill that requirement. So what you can do, if you're curious, if you're like, what's the difference between statistic foundations for the information age and the math of language and linguistics, you could click each one, they're hyperlinked, and it will bring you to a course description. So you can view the course description there, and if the course has been offered recently or is going to be offered, you can click View Class Section, and it will show you when the course is offered. So it looks like it wasn't offered this fall, but it was offered over the summer. So that can all change, and you can view typical offerings. If we return to the advisement report, okay, so if a requirement is still needed, it will be open, expanded, and it will show you the options for how you can complete that requirement. If a requirement is satisfied, however, so for instance, Amy's first semester composition requirement, the requirement collapses, so it shuts up. So you can see here, for first semester composition, it's all closed up. There's nothing listed underneath it, and that's because it's satisfied. So that makes this in-browser version kind of nice because the only things that are expanded are the things that you still need to complete. So this is a good report to look at, this in-browser version, if you just want to see specifically what you still need to do. And then as you scroll through, it will show you all the rest of the categories of courses you need to take classes from, and it will indicate to you what the requirement is and what the course options are for actually completing those requirements. Now, like I mentioned, this in-browser version is not my favorite way of viewing this report, just because there's a lot of verbiage, a lot of words. In general, I prefer to view this report as a PDF, and you can view that report by scrolling all the way back up to the top and clicking the View Report as a PDF button. So what that does is it pulls all the same exact information, except it puts it in a PDF document, which in general is way easier to read and comprehend. So it's going to take a few seconds for it to generate because it's going to be like 15 to 20 pages. It's going to have every single requirement you need for graduation. When it does pull up, You can see it will have all of the information that the in-browser version did. It's just formatted a little bit differently. So at the very top, it will track your general graduation requirements. It will track the GPA. So you need to have a minimum GPA for your major and a minimum 2.0 for all of your undergraduate career. It will track the number of units that you need. So everybody needs 120 total units. It will track the number of upper division units you need, and it will also track the number of units specifically from U of A that you need. A lot of times when students are ready for graduation, they have completed all of their classwork. This is where they get hung up because they were so focused on taking the classes that they need for their degree, they forgot about these general graduation requirements. And I can't tell you how many students I've had to say, you can't graduate because you only have 39 upper division and you need 42. Like, it really makes me feel very sad to have to tell students that. So definitely pay attention to these general graduation requirements because your major might not be built to get you to these requirements. You may have to supplement your major classes. Does that make sense? Okay. As you scroll through, you can see it looks very similar. It looks very similar to the in-browser version. One of the biggest differences is that if a requirement isn't satisfied, it still shows you the courses that you can take to satisfy the requirement. They're just not hyperlinked, so you can't click them and read a course description or view what the course title is. You would actually have to search for them manually, so you'd have to go back into UAccess or you'd have to go to the academic catalog and actually look the class up. So that is one of the biggest pitfalls of using the PDF version. But a lot of students like the fact that this PDF version shows that if a requirement is satisfied, it indicates what class is actually satisfying that requirement. So you can see here under the English requirement, it lets Amy know that during fall 2014, she is enrolled in the course that is satisfying that requirement. And if you look in the very last column under type, it will indicate IP, and that just stands for in progress, that you're currently in the class right now. If the course was complete, it wouldn't say IP, and under the grade column, it would indicate the grade that you'd actually received. Make sense? Okay. So it should all be in the same order as the in-browser version. Math, English, second language, your gen ed requirements, and then you finally get into your pre-major and major requirements. So you can see this is a really long document. 9 of 14, 10 of 14. It's got a lot of requirements. And this document can look a little bit intimidating because it does look like so much, but these degrees are built for completion in 4 years. Okay, so what's the one thing that this advisement report doesn't do? Well, it doesn't tell you the order in which these classes should be taken. It pretty much just lists it out. Sometimes it accidentally tells you the order in which you should be taking classes. So for instance, English 101 comes before English 102. But in a lot of cases, there's really no particular order to these classes. And if you tried to take them in the order in which they were listed, I think you'd probably be here for like 10 years. So how do you know what order you should take your classes in? Well, obviously, the first resource you should be using is your academic advisor. And some of them probably made a 4-year plan with you during your major advisor appointment, right? Yeah, so the 4-year plan lets you know the sequencing of the courses. It lets you know that you need college algebra in order to get into Gen Chem 1, and you need Gen Chem 1 in order to move into Gen Chem 2, and you need Gen Chem 2 in order to move into OChem 1. Those type of prerequisite situations. But there is also a document within your UAccess Student Center that can also assist you with the sequencing of courses. And that document is called the Smart Planner. And I know we kind of introduced you to this over the summer at UA Clicks, but I wanted to refresh you on it so that you knew how to actually access it. So what we'll do, we will collapse this and go back to the main screen. And remember, U-Access hates the back button. If you press the back button, you're going to totally confuse it, and you're going to end up back at square one, and you're going to be really frustrated. All right. So if we go back to the home screen. All right, so one of the hyperlinked options under academics was My Academics. To get to your Smart Planner, oh, you can't see that very well at all, can you? How did it get like that? Bizarre. Really? Sorry. Well, one of the options under academics, I don't think you can barely even see it, but it says Plan, okay? In my administrative view, it's called Smart Planner, which I think it would make sense if they called it Smart Planner in your version too, but they don't. They just call it Plan. So in the hyperlinks under academics, you would choose Plan. So the one thing about Smart Planner is that if you are in a major that requires an option, so something like animal sciences or environmental sciences or natural resources or agribusiness, all of those degree programs require you to declare an option, so a focus area. Smart Planner will only work if you do declare that option. And it lets you declare it right here. And I know that Amy is okay with me choosing an option for her because she knows what her option is going to be. If you click the button for an option, it's going to officially declare it for you on your program. You can always change it, so if you decide down the line, like, oh, I really didn't want that option, you can just go into your advisor and they'll change it to whatever you want. But Smart Planner will only work if you have an option declared. So I know you want to be racetrack industry, correct? So we'll choose racetrack industry. Oh man, now you have to choose a specialization. The business path or the animal management path. Okay. So then we just click OK, and it will think. And it just gives you a message of pretty much what I just said. You're choosing these options, and if you want to change them, just contact your advisor. Okay, so those of you who don't have an option when you click Smart Planner, or if you have an option declared, the first thing you see is going to be this screen. It's just going to say Smart Planner needs to create or refresh, and you just click OK. You have to click OK, otherwise you'll just wait here looking at the screen for like 10 minutes, which I have never done before, ever. So you click OK, and you get the spinny wheel of death, and it thinks about it for a while. But what's going to come up is information that is pulling directly from the advisement report. So it's taking all of the classes that are listed as not satisfied in your advisement report, and what it's going to do is it's going to sequence them. So what's happened is that in the past, the advisors have created like the ideal schedule. They've indicated what classes are prerequisites for other classes, the order in which things should be taken, and that was built into Smart Planner, into the computer. So what's going to happen when the courses pull up is that they're actually going to be listed in a particular sequence when it actually comes up. There we go. So what you can actually do with Smart Planner is use it to kind of create your own long-term plan. So just right off the bat, you can scroll down and say, okay, well, how many semesters do I have left? Well, right now, just the way things are, Amy's scheduled all the way until spring 2019. But she just has a couple classes scheduled. So what that tells me is that if you take a summer class or two, you can probably cut some of those semesters out. But what Smart Planner allows you to do, if we go back up to the top, is there's a place for you to actually arrange your plan. So maybe Amy is going to take a class over winter session. Or maybe she plans on taking a math class at like community college. So she can say, oh, I'm not going to take my first semester of second language in the spring because I want to take them as a sequence, so I want to take it all spring, so I don't have summer in between. So what she can do is she can grab the second language course and pull it down to the semester where she plans on taking it. Then it says, okay, you're at 20 units now in that semester, so you can say, oh, okay, well, instead of taking the second language in spring, I'll take a gen ed in spring. And then it evens everything out. So what you can do is you can kind of go through and play. You can say, oh, what if I decide to take, for example, what if I decide to wait and take college algebra until my final semester? What happens then? Put math way down there. If we click OK, what it's going to do is it's going to reshuffle everything. Oh, and it's telling us, already telling us right off the bat we can't do something. So it's saying you have to take your first semester language before your second semester. So we would have to move that down. So it lets you know if you're doing something that you can't do. It will give you a warning. So right now it will say, oh, right now your spring has too many units. You're planned for 20 and you're only allowed to take 19 units. So it will keep telling you if you have problems. All right. Oh man, we're just all over the place. Okay, so once everything has been equaled out, we can see how it changes her actual timeline. So moving the college algebra, how that affected her scheduling. Another cool thing you can do is you can go up here into Edit Preferences, and if you decide you do want to take like a summer or winter course, you can add a session in. So you would just click a plus to add a session, and maybe she wants to take winter. Okay. She's going to take a 3-unit gen ed. And we click OK, and then the Smart Planner screen is going to kind of reshuffle everything now that it knows she wants to take a winter class when it's done thinking. So advantages of Smart Planner is that you can kind of predict what your schedule is going to look like based on the plans you want to make. So if you're going to wait to take math over the summer, add in those sessions, play around with it, and see how that's going to affect your long-term planning. Because maybe if you decide you're not going to take your college algebra until your junior year, well, that's going to affect you getting into chemistry, and not being able to get into Chem 1 is going to prevent you from getting into Chem 2. So it will let you see not only the good sides of changing your schedule, but also the bad side. So you can say, oh man, if I wait to take my math that long, I'm going to end up having to stay at U of A 2 extra semesters to get those chemistry classes done. So it lets you kind of predict what will happen based on the choices you make about your classes. So obviously, Smart Planner should not replace your academic advisor. You should still be going to your academic advisor to get information on the scheduling of classes. But what it can do is give you an idea on the type of classes you'll be taking in upcoming semesters, so that when you're meeting with your advisor, you don't have to spend so much time talking about classes, and you can spend more time talking about important, more developmental things like, how do I find an internship, or where can I do some research on campus, or where are possible institutions where I can go study abroad. Sometimes more important things than just sitting in the office and saying, what classes do I need to take? Using Smart Planner can kind of give you an idea on those classes so you can have more meaningful conversations with your advisor. So when it comes to your advisement report and Smart Planner, you want to make sure that they're reading correctly. You want to make sure that they're 100% accurate as possible. Because if it's not accurate, then there's kind of no purpose in using them if they're not accurate. If Smart Planner isn't accurate, it's going to tell you you need to take classes you've already taken. So what I want you to get out of this is look at your advisement report and make sure everything is reading correctly. I know a lot of you visited your advisor, and after you visited with them, I got a message from your major advisor that says, hey, this student has transfer credit. Can we use the transfer credit for general education requirements? And I was able to make a substitution. So if you have transfer credit or you have coursework that you think should be satisfying a requirement, but it's still not listed as satisfied, follow up with your advisor so that they can make those changes. Because if you have Intro to Psych and I can count it as a Tier 1 individual in society, that means you have to take one less gen ed. If I didn't make that substitution, you might take 2 courses and you only needed to take 1. And nobody wants to take courses they don't need to take, right? Yeah. I don't think anybody wants to take courses that they don't need to take. So view your advisement report in your Smart Planner to make sure everything is accurate so that these can actually be functional tools that you can use. Questions on the advisement report or Smart Planner? Anybody? How many of you went over the Smart Planner with your major advisor in your appointment? Okay, a few of you. Good. So in the future, like in the near future, in a few weeks, you're going to find out when your registration is. So this is probably a tool that you'll want to pull up so you can get a better idea of what you'll register for when you're actually allowed to register. So the next workshop after the ones this week, workshop 3, are all going to be about priority registration. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but as a heads up, the priority registration dates have been set. Does everybody know what the term priority registration means? No? Okay. Makes sense. You haven't been here to register before. So priority registration is the way continuing students register for class. So you didn't have priority registration before because you were new students. But now you're continuing students, so you'll partake in priority registration. And what it does is it allows new students, it allows continuing students to register before new students, and it gives priority to the continuing students who are closer to graduation so that they can register sooner than the students who are further away from graduation. So what happens is the registration period is broken down into these week-long segments. And during each week, a different class standing can register for classes. So the very first week, the students who are eligible to register are typically athletes and veterans and other people who are using the GI Bill. So they get that very first week to register. Everybody else is locked out. After that week ends, though, they're locked out. And then the next group of people to go are seniors. And seniors have that 1 week to register and everybody is locked out. But once the senior week is over, they get locked out. They can't make any more registration changes. And then juniors go. And then it goes down the line. After junior week, it's sophomore week. After sophomore week, it's freshman week. Once freshman week ends, registration opens back up to everybody. So that's when, if you need to make a registration change after your priority registration, you can. So everybody will have the entire winter to make changes before the spring semester begins. And after priority registration in the spring, everybody has the entire summer to make changes. But you don't want to wait till that big, long open registration period. You want to register for classes during your assigned week so that things don't close on you. Because if you wait until open registration, you might encounter a situation where all the classes you need are closed. So you'll want to make sure that you know what your priority registration period is and that you're prepared to register during that time. And that's what the Workshop 3 is going to help you with. Finding classes, putting them in your shopping cart, things that you may not have had to do over the summer when you were pre-scheduled for classes. Let me show you one more thing. So what will happen is in a few weeks, this section here under enrollment dates what will happen is that will populate with 2 dates. The first date will be your shopping cart appointment. That's the first day you can start searching for classes and putting them in your shopping cart. The second date will be your enrollment appointment, and that's the first day you can actually go in and register for the courses in your shopping cart. So pretty much the first day of your priority registration. Does that make sense? Okay. So like I said, we'll get more information on this at Workshop 3 all about priority registration. But just have it on your radar and know that it's coming up. It's coming up quick, like in a month. Does anybody know when freshman priority registration starts? Yeah, no, it starts November. Yeah, it starts November 10th. Yes, so you'll have from the 10th through the 17th as a freshman to make your changes. Yeah, check.
Will the workshop be before the first week?
Yes. Yes, the workshop should be before the first week. It actually might be during the first week, now that I think about it. I know it's before senior week, but it might be during the Veteran GI Bill week. So just make sure you've met with you have already for class. So make sure you have a schedule set and courses in your shopping cart before the workshop. Is there anybody else that uses the GI Bill that will have priority registration during that week? You? Okay. So same goes for you. Make sure you're prepared by that week because the workshop is during that GI Bill week. Okay. Any other questions? Do you feel confident that you know how to pull an advisement report and decode it? Do you feel confident that you can go into Smart Planner and play around? You can create a what if Smart Planner thing too. Like you could create a what if advising report. You can also do a what if in the Smart Planner. So what if I added a second major? What if I added a minor? What if I changed? And it will show you the classes and estimated number of semesters you have left. So you're not going to mess anything up. You can't really make any changes. You can't ruin your 4-year plan because it can always be reset. So don't worry about messing it up. There's always a back to default button. But go in there, play around with it, and use it as a tool to help you. Maybe you only need to stay for 7 semesters instead of 8. Maybe if you add some summer sessions in there, you can figure out a way to not have to pay 1 semester's worth of tuition. So play around. It's a really cool tool. I wish I would have had it. I was a super planner when I was an undergraduate. I used to sit down and make 4-year plans for myself, and it would take forever because I would have to look up prerequisites and everything. You have it really easy because it knows what the prerequisites are. So take advantage of it, play around with it. Ultimately, it's built to help you. So, are there any other questions right now? Awesome. So workshop 2 is this week. There will be one Wednesday after class, and there will be one Friday again. Same place, same times as the last one. So I'll see you all on Wednesday.